Going to the council, gonna make me a lot of speeches. Going to the council, gonna make me a lot of speeches. Speeches come from a man. They were put there by a... Let's do this. Showtime.
Can the clerk please call the next speaker?
Jesse Summer.
Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to address Albany's Common Council yet again. Mr. Kimbrough, it's my understanding that you're campaigning to lead this body. I'm also running for the presidency of the Common Council as a party unaffiliated candidate.
Is your name and just your location?
Perfect timing. Jesse Summer from Ward 6 in Albany, New York. And so, Mr. Kimbrough, I have just 1,000 signatures left to collect before my independent nominating petitions are due next week. And that works out to roughly 1 signature per minute from now until next Monday. So I'm therefore giving you the chance to avoid any embarrassment and drop out of the race now. In the unlikely event that you do assume the leadership of this body, I'm bringing tonight this to your attention, to the council's attention, a mission set in which our municipal and state officials have so far seemed thoroughly uninterested. I seek from everyone on the Common Council a united front in forcefully advocating for a particular use of the remaining $200 million in state funding that's been allocated to revitalize our capital city. Specifically, I urge your support of the so-called Albany Plan, which entails, first, dispossessing hundreds of absentee property owners of the 873 vacant buildings that now blight our city. And this effort contemplates aggressive enforcement of the existing violations of the city's zoning code, assembly of a task force in the district attorney's office to prosecute criminal violations of that code, foreclosure on tax delinquent deeds, and deployment of a city or county fund to purchase underwater properties. Second, that's temporarily transferring property title to the Albany County Land Bank and other agencies or organizations. Third, initiating a public works program by which a revitalization czar would solicit requests for proposals by local small to mid-sized contracting outfits, it's builders, electricians, engineers, plumbers, etc., to rehabilitate dilapidated structures, secure certificates of occupancy, and establish deeded cooperative or condominium units in these buildings. Fourth, developing a mechanism to provide a pathway to home ownership, which is to say deed transfer, for low-income Albany tenants who meet established criteria so as to award clear title to these now rehabilitated units. Fifth, installing housing clinics dispersed throughout the city as situated in a select few of these newly rehabbed ground floor units that are intended to accommodate the city's substantial unhoused population. These pods would include laundry facilities, restrooms, lockers to store belongings that those experiencing homelessness are currently schlepping around in shopping carts, and up to 4 beds in open-door rooms where unhoused persons could sleep from about 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. year-round. During the day, these units could be cleaned by contracted housekeeping services and made available to those seeking appointments with clinicians equipped to offer mental health treatment, addiction counseling, job placement opportunities, and administrative assistance in securing disability or social security benefits. To be sure, there is a role for the city's existing shelters and intervention programs, especially when it comes to those experiencing cognitive impairments, behavioral challenges, or chemical addictions, for whom the degree of autonomy envisioned by this program is just unsuitable. But my on-the-ground, face-to-face work with those experiencing homelessness since last November reveals critical gaps in the resources needed and facilities made available to those who, with a slight modification to the tapestry of our existing resources, can be successfully integrated back into our capitalist system. I am not seeking a new approach to treating Albany's vast socioeconomic challenges from some moral posture. I'm pointing out that our capitalist system is failing to properly exploit people. Others can debate whether housing is a human right. My goal is to get the chronically poor off the streets and back into the rat race where God intended us to work miserably until death. The only reason we now have a chance to operationalize the Albany plan is that $200 million has been siphoned from the state taxpayer and made available to our city. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. It's money that can be used to buy a slew of those 873 vacant buildings, finance both civil and criminal enforcement of the zoning code, fund the structural rehabilitation of these properties, and return them to the tax rolls in a manner that beautifies our city neighborhoods, combats homelessness, and gives to low-income tenants a chance at owning an intergenerationally transferable asset, which is particularly critical in combating the legacy of redlining for those living in Albany's historically black neighborhoods. 5 minutes isn't enough to detail the specifics of this program, nor are the 6,000 words I use to more fully describe it in my column published in the Altamont Enterprise. But at any of your invitations, I can outline more about this program to those who might want further details. In closing, I want to register my disappointment that $150 million is going towards the renovation of the New York State Museum when so many other issues will continue to dissuade people from visiting Albany in the first place. So I challenge our authorities to evaluate the museum's visitor numbers in the 5 years preceding this upcoming renovation with the numbers in the 5 years thereafter. With the Central Warehouse or the Lark Street bid in mind, how many times must I say, I told you so?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis.
Can the clerk please call the seat?